Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. The Orchid Society meeting yesterday, which was the AGM of my other Orchid Society, the one I don't go to all the time, but I thought I'd go along. And luckily I didn't load the car up to the hilt with plants to take, because even though they had ample opportunities to let people know, they had no competition tables because it was the AGM. They thought it was you know, they only just got through effectively the AGM part and, you know, the auction and all that sort of stuff. They only just got through on time and they were pushed. So if they'd added the competition tables in, they probably wouldn't have made it. So I can see why. But as I said, I've had a couple of emails from them this week about that meeting where they could have taken the opportunity to let the new people know, you know, not to bring all their plants in and bother cleaning them all up, getting them ready, loading them up in the car with the dangers of transporting and everything when they didn't need to bother. So that was a bit naughty. Anyway, I bought one plant in the orchid. It's, well, the tag just says angel heart, but I've had a look on the internet. I had a look on the internet before I decided to bid on it to just check what the flowers look like, because I don't want a Cattleya with flowers I don't like, you know, and there are quite a few Cattleyas where I look at the blooms and think, no, I'm not too keen on that. You know, people have different tastes. But anyway, this is, it's actually on the internet classed as an LC, so it's a Laleo Cattleya. But as most Lalias have now been moved into Cattleya, it's probably just a Cattleya. But Angel Heart has many named clones that do have some variety in them. Most of them are reasonable sized blooms. I couldn't find out in the short time I had whether they're fragrant or not, but hopefully we'll find out sometime down the line. But they're nice soft magenta blooms with some fading effects to a lighter colour and some nice yellow in the lip, and it's a nice frilly lip with a deep bit of purple at the very edge along with the yellow in the centre. So it's an attractive flower. It's easy enough to look up. And the other thing the tag says is it says Plested, and that rang a little bell. That used to be an orchid nursery. It went out of business quite a long time ago, but that was a genuine grower's orchid nursery where the people at the nursery grew the plants and knew about the plants and looked after them rather than just getting them to the point of sale as fast as humanly possible, and you end up buying a plant that's already going downhill. You can see Danny's video about that. You know, the business model of the huge commercial nurseries is to get a plant to bloom as fast as possible, irrespective of its care. So by the time you get it, it's going to be in old media. They're not going to bother to repot it just for you. That costs them money and it costs them time, so they don't do it. Basically, they get them to bloom as fast as possible. And it also explains why most of the time when you buy those type of orchids, you've got a sphagnum plug in the middle with loads of dead roots in, because they couldn't be bothered to tease that moss out when they potted it on into a bigger pot, with media that will last just long enough to get it to the blooming size with blooms and the point of sale, and that's where they make their money. We can still buy those orchids, but you are effectively in, to one stage or another, a rescue situation. That's why I always repot new orchids of that type. Now this one I got for a lower price than I would have done, because the lead has split into two. Both had a new growth, but some bright spark knocked that new growth off. And, you know, I'm hoping that as a consequence of the damage to that lead, it will push out again. But we'll see how we go. But I do need to repot it. It's in coconut husk, you know, squishy stuff. You know me, don't like it. There's new root signs in various places. So, you know, it's got a root system that's viable. I will repot it shortly. Probably not today. I've got a lot of watering to do. But it has got a split lead. Yeah, it's actually split twice. Now, let's get the flipping thing down. Get the tag out of the way. That was the seller's tag, not the orchid tag. It's a top-heavy orchid, so obviously it's going in a clay pot. But if we look at the rhizome, you know, starting at the very back, you know, this was a division, not a seedling. You can tell because the oldest bulb is a reasonable size. If it was a seedling, the initial bulbs would be small. So that's a way of telling it was a division once. And it grew on from the left, grew another new pseudo bulb, a bit bigger than the last one. And then it grew another one and it split off to the side. So that third pseudo bulb is attempting to form its own lead. And there is a dormant eye at the base. I'll bear that in mind. But anyway, the rhizome that went off towards the back of the view now pushed up a new pseudo bulb, bigger than the previous one, not bad. It's progressing, that's what we're after. And then it split again. So right in the centre of the pot you can see another split, and it went off in two directions, and the rhizome at the very back pushed out sideways rather than forwards. And there's a nice swelling at the base there, so that may well have a dormant eye on it. And then it split again. And then right at the very front, it split again. So this orchid likes to branch off, which means you get multiple leads, which means you get multiple blooms. That's part of why I chose to bid on it, basically. Nice blooms, not sure about the fragrance, and a plant that likes to branch. So you can get these up to a good specimen size much quicker than one that is reluctant to branch, because all you ever get is one new pseudo bulb at a time. I won't say once a year, because some of them push out new pseudo bulbs every sort of 8 or 9 months. Some of them are literally a year. But anyway, I've got to clean all these sheaths off, get the bug hidey holes out of it, and look after that one new growth that I've got. And by taking the sheaths off, you often find that you expose what are currently dormant eyes. And quite honestly, when they see the light of day, they often shoot out. But I'm not sure whether I will actually keep this as one plant. I mean, I know I will take the back two pseudo bulbs off because they've served their purpose. And you can see the width of the plant is the width of the pot and some. It's now hanging out the side. Yeah? So if I put that in one of my holy clay pots, it already fills the pot, which is not what I want. So I will take the back end of the rhizome off, but I'm only going to take 2 off because that third pseudo bulb has got a dormant eye on it and I want to try and push it. If I can. So that'll be what I'll pot, you know, from the third pseudo bulb forward, and then the rhizome where that third pseudo bulb is can go right up against the pot and leave room for everything else to grow. It's a tall one, so it's another one of these top heavy ones, so getting it in the clay pot will be a good idea. And I might, because it's top heavy, actually put a rock in the bottom of the clay pot for weight, just for stability. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an inert object. It won't affect the plant. Obviously it will reduce the amount of bark, but you know, the holy pots, it's not the bark that's important, it's the air, you know, so a rock in the bottom should hold it steady. It's bloomed frequently. I mean, as a division, it had already bloomed on the oldest pseudo bulb. In fact, apart from that pseudo bulb there, every single one of these pseudo bulbs has had a flower spike. The other thing I noticed, which unfortunately I didn't notice before I bid on it, is somebody has been keeping this plant wet, as in the plant wet. Telltale signs? Damage to the leaves. See those little cracks? Yeah, well, that's not dryness. That's normally caused by wet hanging around. Yeah, and a fair few of the leaves have got those signs. I've got to live with those for a while now. That's the worst one there. But to get that sort of damage in the same place, there must be a viable reason for that. Anyway, we'll get that one potted up and see where we go from there. As I say, I'll nick a bloom off the internet and put a pop-up to show you what the actual blooms look like, which was one of the reasons I decided to go for it. Plus, it's got a nice root system and it naturally branches, so you know, it's got favourable things, which made it worth bidding on. I didn't pay an awful lot of money for it, for such a large plant. So that's all I bought anyway. This zygo that's in the not sponge rock, the rock wool, that's got to come out of there too, so that's on the list to get repotted, along with a few other things. I haven't got much left to do, but today's a watering day, and I already know that I've got some spikes and some buds to look at as I go round, so I'll extend this video with odd little bits as I come across. So it's going to be one of those bits and bobs videos where I pick up on things as I go round, and we'll see where we go from there. But yeah, orchid haul of one giant Cattleya. Okay, I'll carry on as and when I find some things to look at. Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to cut that video off as a new plant video, and then I'll start a new one as and when I come across things as I'm watering. So I'll leave that one for now. So thanks for dropping by. Quick look at my new plant. Next new plants, if any, will come from the Malvern show next weekend. I can't see me coming away from a large international orchid show empty-handed. There will be something that's going to catch my eye, but I'm not going mad. As I said, the bottom line is I've got enough orchids. I'm happy with the orchids I've got, and there are still some around that I do plan to sell on. You know, kikis growing on and duplicates and things like that, which will release a little bit more space. But I don't want to fill every nook and cranny with an orchid. As I said, my workload is around where I'm happy. I mean, I watered my Masdevallias and Restrepias and Paphiopedilums yesterday, and today I will try and do everything else. We didn't get a lot of sun yesterday, and all of the mounts were watered yesterday, so if I have to, I can get away with not watering them today, and then I'll only have those to do tomorrow then, which is quite good. But I'll see how I get on, and I'll leave that one there with a look at the new plant. As I said, it's a readily branching Cattleya, and I do like those sort, you know. So we'll see how we get on with that as and when I repot it. That'll be the next time you probably see it. Coming soon. Thanks for dropping by. See you next time.